it's Brianna. Today I'm going to share with you how I've increased my milk supply for breastfeeding and pumping baby number 2. I learned some really good tricks with my son when I breastfed him. We made it to 15 months and I did go back to work with him. So I was pumping every single weekday while I was at work and nursing him at night and then on the weekends. So I learned a lot of really good ways to increase my milk supply, especially being away from my baby and pumping. And I really was excited to share these with you because one of the biggest stressors I had with my first baby was that I didn't have a strong enough milk supply. And this time around, it's the complete opposite. I'm so grateful. I'm producing more than enough, needing to pump at times because I'm still feeling full even after she's eaten. And I'm able to already sort of have a nice stock in the freezer of milk. So it's really nice when I return to work at 12 weeks, I at least know I already have a freezer stash ready to go, especially because I will likely be traveling pretty regularly when I go back to work. Okay, so the two biggest factors that have made my milk supply this time around so much more than with my first is I've made some significant changes to my diet and I'm very cognizant of the amount of fluids I'm taking in. So I try to have at least 3 liters of water every single day. And that without a doubt has made me, I think, produce so much more milk than I was the first time around. I know I was trying to drink a lot with my first baby, but was nowhere near making sure I was having at least 3 liters of water, which has definitely helped me stay hydrated and produce a lot of extra milk when I pump. When it comes to changes in my diet, I now have a grocery shopping list of a ton of foods that I ordinarily wouldn't be purchasing. And there are some foods that I normally did purchase that I just make sure I'm continuing to buy because I feel like changing my diet and eating the foods that I know are going to make my breast milk supply better has really helped. So here's all the food items that I'm incorporating into my postpartum diet to make sure that I'm producing a lot of breast milk. I'm buying a ton of apples and bananas. Then I have spaghetti squash along with sweet potatoes, which I love to put different toppings on. Then cucumbers and watermelon help with hydration. I eat dried apricots along with these Nourish bowls that have kale. And I'm trying to use garlic whenever I cook meals, but also I'm eating hummus and guacamole. Also trying to have protein with my whole grains in both oatmeal as well as cereal bars. And any kind of pasta, chips, or bread that I eat, I make sure I'm buying whole grain or whole wheat. Then lots of low-fat dairy like yogurt, milk or chocolate milk, and then also low-fat cheeses. I've also incorporated nuts and sesame seeds along with low-fat red meat and trying to eat eggs whenever possible. And finally, Gatorade so I don't get bored with water. Another way that when I am pumping and away from my baby that I can produce extra milk is by having a cup of hot tea, preferably the mother's milk or a lactation boosting tea prior to pumping. For whatever reason, if I drank this hot cup of tea anywhere from 30 minutes to 10 minutes before I pumped, something about that hot liquid would really help stimulate my milk supply and I could instantly sort of feel that tingling sensation that more milk was coming in. The same thing goes for eating soup. So if I would have hot soup, I love chicken noodle soup. I actually would crave it a lot when I was pregnant too. But if I would eat soup for lunch before pumping, I could always feel an extra tingling sensation of more milk coming in. Another way that I've felt more milk come in is if I'm at home and in the evenings before I pump, if my husband is giving Presley her bedtime bottle, if I take a shower prior to pumping, that hot water, I feel that, again, tingling sensation of more milk being produced. So something about the heat. So I haven't tried heat packs, but I would also probably guarantee that if I put heat packs on my chest, it would probably help bring in more milk. And I know for mamas going back to work, it is hard because work clothing can either be constricting or you're just more limited when it comes to your options. But whenever I'm at home, if you are able, I take off my bra. I wear really loose clothes because the less restriction I have, the more milk I'm actually able to produce. I've seen it in the sheer ounces. It's like if I'm just wearing a tank or a t-shirt, no bra, that day I'm pumping 6 to 7 ounces when I pump versus around 4 ounces if I'm wearing either a bra or more constrictive clothing. Now this one is a tip for while I'm actually pumping, and it's take super deep breaths. Like literally try to put yourself in a Zen yoga state where you are taking really long, intentional, deep breaths in and out. And sometimes if you're pumping and you sort of notice that you've stopped producing milk mid-pump, I'll take those deep breaths for a minute or two and instantly have more milk after that. So make sure you're taking really deep breaths while you're pumping. Another to do for while you are pumping is actually massage your boobs. And a viewer actually left this tip saying that if you massage prior to pumping or prior to just nursing your baby, that it then helps the mix of hind milk and fore milk the entire feed. But I've noticed while I'm pumping, if again I ever stop having milk mid-pump, if I sort of massage myself all over, or especially if I feel like I'm getting a clogged duct, if I massage that area, I will instantly see an increase in my milk while I'm pumping. This is really helpful if you're pumping when you're away from your baby. I would always watch videos of my baby on my phone, look at pictures of my baby, and this is sort of messed up, but if there's ever a time where your baby is crying where you can just record their cry and listen to it, it seriously helps you produce so much more milk. I did this with Landon, and when I was at work, if I was ever concerned I wasn't pumping enough, I would just listen to a little bit of his cries that I'd recorded on a phone from one time when he was crying at home, and it literally helped me have so much more milk just hearing his cry. It also helps if I'm at home and Presley is crying because my husband's tending to her. If I pump then, just hearing her crying, I've also pumped a lot more milk. Now these are a couple of things to avoid. I always avoid pumping after I've worked out or done physical activity, just because your body is using its fluids to recharge itself from that workout. So I would not recommend pumping post-workout or post any sort of intense activity. Like if you've just cleaned your house for an hour, probably wouldn't pump after that. I think if you can try to pump when you're more relaxed or chill, the better your pumping session will be. Also check with your doctor about any medications you're taking. A lot of times allergy medication, which if you can't tell, I'm a bit nasally because I think I have some allergies this year. But if you're taking any kind of medications for cold or allergies or just for your general health, check with your doctor to make sure that they couldn't be interfering with the amount of liquids in your body or the liquids you're producing, because that can counteract trying to have an increased milk supply. Also, this is easier said than done, I know, but try to limit your coffee to 1 cup a day. I did this time around with my son. I would sometimes have that extra cup just because I was up for so many hours with him, but I've really stuck to either 1 cup or a half cup of coffee a day, and it's really helped me this time. Limiting your caffeine intake, there's definitely a correlation to your milk supply. The same goes with alcohol. They do say if you can limit to 1 to 3 alcoholic beverages a week, that should help your milk supply as well. The mommy sacrifices we have to make. Okay, so those are my tips that I have that I've been doing this time around, and I've seen such a better increase in my milk supply. As always, other mamas out there, if there are other tips and tricks you do so that you're pumping more milk or that you've seen an increase in your milk supply, share that in the comments for everyone else. I want to make sure everyone in this community is getting great advice, because I do not have all the answers, but I always like to try to share the little tips and tricks I've learned. And if you're new, make sure you're following me on Instagram and Snapchat, because that's the way I can update you most regular these days, since I'm still home on maternity leave and adjusting to 2 babies. And thank you all for your patience, because I know I haven't been able to produce a ton of content so far, but I'm going to do my best to keep on updating as regularly as I can on my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope I see you in my next one. Let me know if there are any other videos you'd like to see as well. Bye guys.